Hello. So as you can see here, we want to enhance our web application and we want to be able to do some seeding. And what that means is we want to get some data in our database to make it a little bit more usable. And so I'll show you how to seed your database quickly. And then also with so much information in our database, we don't want, like, let's say you have 1,000 users or 1,000 products or 10,000 products. You don't want all of those displayed at once on your page. That'll slow down your page a lot and basically kind of choke out the efficiency of looking at information on your page. So you want to set up some pagination, which is real common on the web. So for example, if you do like a search, Google search, they'll list so many on their front page and then they'll paginate and view subsequent pages from there. And so that's a pretty common thing. If you go to Amazon, you can, by default, it paginates its products and then you can navigate from the pages from there as well. So something very common you'll see in web applications that we're going to want to be able to know how to do as well. And the fortunate thing for us is that Laravel gives us some nice built-in tools to do that. So let's go ahead and dive in and start this. First thing I want to do is the seeding part. And seeding, like I said before, is the ability to, seeding is short for loading your database with lots of records. And this is used primarily for either your development environment or maybe a staging, like a quality assurance server, a staging server that needs data so they can test your site, and then also test servers. So this is what you'll see, where you'll see seeding most often. You won't see it on production. Okay, not production, because that's pretty rare. Is what I'm saying is, like, you're not going to want seeding usually like fake data or just kind of random data that you'll want, and it's just to get a feel for how your website acts with large amounts of data. And production, you shouldn't have to worry about that, because that's going to take care of itself, right? If you're adding real users, real products, etc., that's going to add data itself. You don't want to seed that. And what often comes with seeding is a lot of deleting of data, editing of data. So it has to be fake, or it just doesn't make sense to have it on your production site. So definitely for more development, staging, test type environments. So something to keep in mind. In fact, Laravel doesn't let you run your seeding task in production by default, which is the right thing. If you wanted to, there is a way to force it, but I definitely don't recommend it. Cool. Well, let's dive in then. Laravel gives us a task for generating seeds. And so let me show you what that task looks like. It's a task called, it's PHP Artisan, of course, and then you want to make a seeder and whatever you want to call it, and I'll call it friend seeder. And so since my application is friend, that's the domain, is the friend model, I'm going to create the seeder to be called friend seeder, but it could be whatever seeder makes sense in your particular application. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. And then what that did, let me jump over to the code. That created a seeder in your database section. And here it is. So under your app, no, not even under app, it's under database, seeds, and notice it created a file called friend seeder. And remember, when we created our controller, the controller with the resource, it just created a file, a controller file with a bunch of actions that were empty. And then we went in and populated what each action should do specifically. Well, same idea here. It creates a seed and says, here you go ahead and have fun with that. So let me show you what you'll want to do here. I want to generate a bunch of friends for me. And so I'm just going to bring in my, I'm going to bring and use a library. Actually, no, let me just kind of give you the idea. In fact, I'm going to do it in comments. I'm going to iterate n number of times to create that many friends. And within each iteration, I'm going to actually create a friend. And so, but the first thing I want to do here is that I want my data to be fresh every time I run this. So this is the part that it doesn't make sense for this to run in production, but it makes sense for it to run in development test environments, is I'm actually going to delete all friends first. Now, why do that? Okay, why, right? Well, typically the data has been manipulated so much that it just makes sense to use fresh data. So you'll want to kind of, it's basically just start from scratch. So that's the idea. And so with that in mind, let's go ahead and set up, let's kind of follow what we're doing here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all the friends. And so you can do that by just getting a hold of your eloquent model. This query is just basically a query builder, which says, you're not doing anything yet, but give me access to your friend table through eloquent model. And so, but really all I want to do from here is just delete. And that will just say, okay, delete them all. The next thing I want to do is set up and iterate a range, and I could do like 1 to 200, but you could set it up to do 10,000 if you wanted to, or more. So I'm going to do that. So I'll iterate 200 times, and then just call my normal code that we've seen before, where I can create a friend. First name, John, Doe, and H. Okay, so that gets us started. In order to try that out, what we need to do now is we've created this friend seeder. We have it doing something that resembles pretty close what we want to do. But in order to actually run it, we have to declare it inside this database seeder over here. See it on the left here. I'm going to open that, and I need to declare that within here. Okay, so once I've declared that inside the main seeder, I want to be able to run this. And so in order to do that, switch back over here, and you run a command, db seed, like that. And let's just see if it even works, right? So friend seeder said it succeeded successfully. Let's go back to my app and refresh. So notice I have 200 John Does. So that's partly good and partly bad because it's not a very randomized seeder. So it doesn't make it very exciting to actually look at the data. So we're going to want to randomize that up a little bit. And so let's go back to our code. And the way you do that is, what's cool is we can randomize our code. And maybe I'll add to the note, create a friend with random data. So there's a library built into Laravel called Faker. And let me see, Laravel PHP Faker. Yeah, this Faker library. And what it does is it actually is enables you to call and use and create fake data. So you could call Faker name and it'll just generate a name for you. Faker address, Faker text. I could go down and you can do random digits. You can shuffle text. You can do some lorem ipsum kind of stuff, so crazy, which is great. For a person, you could get title, names, first name, last name. You can get fake address stuff from here, which is really cool. Phone numbers. And so we're going to take advantage of this in our seeder because it comes built into Laravel, which is sweet. So I'm going to go back to my seeder code. And instead of hard coding to John, I want to declare a Faker variable first. And you do that by accessing Faker/factory create. And that'll create a Faker instance. And then from that Faker instance, we can then access values. So we can grab Faker first name, Faker last name, and Faker. There's one called number between, and I'll just grab between 1 and 100. Okay, so let's try that out. I'll go back and rerun my seed. And go back to my page, refresh. And it looks like that worked. So we got random names, first names, last name, and ages between 1 and 100. Sweet. Very, very cool. So it looks like that worked. The next thing I think makes a lot of sense because let's go bump this up. Let's go 1 to 500. So I'm going to create 500 friends. Reseed that. Refresh. Now I'm scrolling, right? I got 500 friends to scroll through. And so that's not going to work out very well, especially if I go higher and higher, like I was saying before. Like if you had 10,000, you wouldn't want those all on one page. So we want to paginate this. So maybe show like 25 or 50 per page, just to get that going. And so the way we do that, and this is really slick. I'm going to go to my index. I want to go to my controller. Friend controller. Go to the index action. And instead of just grabbing all of them, Laravel has this tool built in called Paginate. And I can paginate, and you put the number, whatever you want, how many per page, you just stick that right in there as an integer. Like that. And then in your index file, so let me go back down to here. It gives you some built-in links. So right off your friends variable, remember your friends variable is defined right here, friends, and then I pass it along over here. And then in the template, we iterate over friends. Well, Laravel adds another method off of that friends instance called links. And what that will do is generate the pagination links for you. So a first page, 1 through n pages, and then a last, or a next. So it does that for you. So we're going to take advantage of that. I'm going to stick some above and below the table, like that. And we'll hit refresh. Bam, look at that. Paginated links at the top and the bottom. And these arrows will go next. And notice this query string up at the top. I have page 3, 4. And what's cool about that, I can jump to 8. What's cool about that is that Laravel on the back end, there's not only do you get the benefit of a visual efficiency, right? So you're not making someone scroll forever, but you're also getting database efficiency as well. So instead of selecting all friends at once and making that huge database call and loading all that data that you probably most likely will not use on one page, it's making an efficient database query as well. It's basically saying grab the only 25 friends at a time instead of like thousands of friends at a time. So it's optimizing your SQL queries on the back end. So there's definitely multiple benefits to paginating your data if you have large amounts that you need to look through. So cool. So that was seeding and pagination. The pagination part was pretty quick because Laravel made it so easy. So we just had to add that paginate function call and then put the links in the views, and that just handled that for us. But the seeding, we got that going. We were able to make it random using the fake data library. And so, yeah, I hope this helps. Should be able to help you in a test environment and development environment in which we're learning right now. And so that you can really see how your website handles high load, high volume, high data, depending on the amount of seeds that you put in. So, cool. Well, until next time, have a good one.